So, morning, everyone. It's lovely to have those who are able to join live, and those who are listening to the recording, welcome too. Um, yeah, it's lovely always to be with you, and it's always just a time of reflection and sort of taking stock of where we are. I've used my beautiful rose roller. Rose is the highest frequency. Well, I actually did a talk last week at my friend Louise Seville Bates's Pilates studio in Nottingham Road, and she built a beautiful. She used to be in Joburg, and she's moved down to Nottingham Road, and she's built a beautiful Pilates studio. And we talked about the healing energy of nature in many ways, that it brings us to our senses, it makes us far more present, the healing properties of a lot of the herbs that we just grow in our garden and how we can make them into herbal teas by just taking a handful of them, rinsing them and putting them in hot water, and the therapeutic benefits of those. And that also, and the frequencies that we hold in our bodies. And our every organ and tissue and cell holds a frequency, which is the electromagnetic vibration of that. And this is something that is it's scientifically proven. It's not sort of woo-woo. A lot of people think that energy and vibration is a sort of woo-woo thing, but it's so I talked a little bit about the science of that, and then talked about the food that we eat and how, a lot of the packaged and processed food has sort of a zero frequency. And it's interesting when you look at things and food, maybe you feel viscerally what the energy feels like to you, because I think there's energy all around us, and we've become so tuned out of it. It's our sixth sense that we don't know and we don't explore, and we've become so numb to. I think children are far more attuned to it. Um, and then we talked about the energy of dried herbs being about 12 to 15 megahertz. Fresh herbs being sort of can be sort of it's from about 12 to 25 megahertz. So high vibration, fresh produce is much higher vibration. And then essential oils um, have vibrations of sort of 50 megahertz up to rose, which is the highest, which is 350 megahertz. So it's incredibly high vibration and needs 10,000 rose petals to make 1 5 ml rose pure rose oil, which is just incredible. Um, so we know that a lot of the rose oils we see in shops are unfortunately just scented or perfume more than the pure rose oil. But anyway, so I'm lucky enough to have a beautiful rose roller, and uh, I often use it before my mindful moments or before I'm going to have an interaction with someone, and it's connected with divine love. And so, yeah, so that is what I am intending and invoking. So the new moon was last week, and now we're on our first quarter moon. And it's last week, it was a tiny slither of moon. We haven't seen the moon here for a few days in the Midlands. It's been very misty and sort of overcast. Um, and so last week when I saw it, it was this beautiful slither. And then full moon will be next Wednesday. So we're building to the full moon Wednesday, the 5th of November. And but the coming days are ancient cross-quarter holidays that have been with us since sort of ancient times. And the cross-quarter holiday in Europe is called Samhain. Um, these days we call it Halloween, but it's very different actually to Halloween. And I thought I'd just share a little bit with you. And I'm just going to read this passage to you. So Halloween may be the modern day descendant of Samhain, which was a sacred festival of the ancient Celts and Druids in the British Isles. And yes, Halloween is short for All Hallows Eve, But at its heart, Halloween is an astronomy holiday. So it's to do with the stars. It's a day rooted in the Earth's orbit around the sun. It's a cross-quarter day and testament to our ancestors' deep understanding of the sky. Um, so cross-quarter days fall more or less midway between the equinoxes. And then the equinox is where the sun sets due west. And then the solstices when the sun sets in its most northern or southern point on the horizon. And this is how ancient civilizations mark their times and mark the changing of the seasons. And so Halloween on the 31st of October is appropriately midway between the Northern Hemisphere autumn, um, September equinox, and the winter December solstice. And in the Southern Hemisphere, the September equinox heralds spring, and the December solstice heralds summer. And this day is actually called Beltane. So in modern times, the four cross-quarter days are called Groundhog Day, which is the 2nd of February, Beltane or May Day on the 1st of May. This is in the Northern Hemisphere. Lammas on the 1st of August. And then the most sinister cross-quarter day, because it comes at the dark time of the year, is Halloween or Samhain. Sorry, Samhain. It's spelled Samhain, but it's said Samhain. So Samhain marks the end of the harvest in the Northern Hemisphere and the beginning of winter, so a time of stillness and honoring the ancestors. And Beltane, which is for us in the Southern Hemisphere, celebrates fertility, vitality, and the return of warmth and light. And whilst Samhain honors death and release, Beltane celebrates life, creation, and joy. And so again, we're reminded of the natural cycles and of life, of death and rebirth that weave through nature and our own lives. And just to do a little bit of a deeper dive into Samhain, it comes from the Irish, Scottish, Gaelic roots it's got. And the festival, it was a Gaelic festival marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, or the darker half of the year. And it's believed to have Celtic pagan origins, and some Neolithic passage tombs in Ireland and Britain are aligned with the sunrise at the time of Samhain. And it's mentioned in the earliest Irish literature from the 9th century and associated with many important events in Irish mythology. So early literature says Samhain was marked by great gatherings and feasts and was when the ancient burial mounds were open, which was seen as the portals to the other world. And some of the literature also associates Samhain with bonfires and sacrifices. So basically, it was a threshold time when the boundary between this world and the other world blurred, making contact with the Alsi, or the spirits or fairies. And at Samhain, they were appeased with offerings of food and drink to ensure that people and livestock survived the winter. And the souls of the dead kin were also thought to revisit their homes, seeking hospitality, and a place was set at the table for them during this time, so that they welcomed back loved ones who had passed on this time. And then in the 9th century, the Western Church endorsed the 1st of November as All Saints' Day, and the 2nd of November later became All Souls' Day. And so that's a little bit of the history. And in Mexico, the Day of the Dead, or the Dia de los Muertos, I don't know if any of you have seen the Coco movie. It describes it quite well. Is a Mexican holiday where families welcome back the souls of their deceased relatives for a brief reunion that includes food and drink and celebration. So, yeah, that's just a little bit about it. But our Halloween has kind of moved to much more of being associated with macabre and supernatural. And I've never been a huge fan of this, inviting the darkness and scare, like terror and horror into our hearts and homes. I dislike the practice anyway of feeding children too many sweets. I feel it's so the energy and the vibration around the sweets doesn't feel very good, and it doesn't do much good for the kids. Um, and for Christians, we believe Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice of God's love, so we don't need to do bonfires and sacrifices anymore. But we do need to protect the sacred temples of our hearts and homes, and that of our families and loved ones, and to spread love and kindness and light where we are. And there are a lot of some satanic symbols that are everywhere. And once you know what you are looking for, they're sort of hidden in plain sight. And even yeah, so and one sees a lot of them at this time of year, and it is quite scary to look at. And I'm choosing not to go there, but I am very aware of it and the power it holds. And interestingly, Diwali is at the same time of year. This time, I think it was almost exactly this time last year. It's been a bit earlier this year, which is the Festival of Lights. And it falls around the same time of year. And it's a celebration of the light and the victory of the light of the dark over dark and good over evil. So it's just interesting how these celebrations all weave um, together. Anyway, so I've heard recently that when we react in anger, we open ourselves up. Um, and these times astrologically are very intense. There are a lot about secrets coming out, being revealed, showing us our own shadows and our faults, which can often be hard to face. And sometimes we might be tempted to react in anger. Um, so we can choose to have anger and victimhood and reactivity, or we can choose, as the Buddhists say, non-reactivity or non-attachments, or we can choose love and coming back to our centers and integrating these energies back into love, which we will practice now in our meditation. So I invite you just to take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just do an audible sigh, allowing your body to settle as you do. I invite you just to anchor your feet on the floor, your seat on a cushion or chair, sitting upright, alert, just resting your hands in your lap in a position of softness, of opening, of receiving. And just taking a few breaths as you settle into this position. Just allowing yourself to come home to yourself. I'm going to read a poem called Hold Out Your Hand by Julia Fehrenbacher. Let's forget the world for a while. Fall back into the hush and holy of now. Are you listening? This breath invites you to write the first word of your new story. Your new story begins with this: you matter. You are needed, empty and naked, willing to say yes and yes and yes. Do you see? The sun shines day after day, whether you have faith or not. The sparrows continue to sing their song, even when you forget to sing yours. Stop asking, am I good enough? Ask only, am I showing up with love? Life is not a straight line. It is a downpour of gifts. Please hold out your hand. So sitting in a posture with hands receptive, holding out our hands, receiving the gifts of this moment, of this body. of this breath, the miracle of this life force energy that sits inside all of us. And make sure we take the next breath, that our fingernails grow, that our hearts beat, that our mitochondria buzz, that we are able to digest our food, absorb our water, all the thousands of little processes that are going on within our body, within each of our cells. This miracle of this next breath. Following each breath as it arrives at your nostrils, as it moves through your nose to the back of your throat, feeling the coolness at the back of your throat, into your chest, your lungs, even your belly. And then following the softness, the letting go the need to force or control, just allowing for the rhythm and the cycle of breath and the rhythm and cycle of life. Expanding our awareness to take in sounds around us without labeling them or judging them, just noticing them, letting them land. The sounds of the world waking up. Coming to your sense of smell, noticing the air as it moves in and out. If there's any scent or smell. Moving to our mouths, Noticing if there are any tastes or textures, residue of coffee or tea or lemon water, or just noticing how your tongue feels in your mouth. Perhaps running your tongue against the back of your teeth into your palate, just noticing ridges, smoothness. Just paying attention to this body so perfectly made. And dropping into our bodies, coming to our heart space, our place of breath, of heart beating, of life force energy. Our story begins with this: we matter, you matter, I matter. We are needed, empty and naked, willing to say yes and yes and yes. And so in our heart space, just opening gently, saying yes and yes and yes. Here I am. With each breath, feeling into a sensation of gratitude, sensation of connection, sensation of love in our heart space. Choosing love over fear, choosing love over anger, choosing love over shame. Knowing that this is always available to us in any time, in any interaction, in any moment, when confronted with these choices. If we can drop into our heart space and to choose love. Let's forget the world for a while, fall back and back into the hush and holy of now. Are you listening? This breath invites you to write the first word of your new story. Your new story begins with this: you matter. You are needed, empty and naked, willing to say yes and yes and yes. Do you see the sun shines day after day, whether you have faith or not? Sparrows continue to sing their song, even when you forget to sing yours. Stop asking, am I good enough? Ask only, am I showing up with love? Life is not a straight line. It is a downpour of gifts. Please hold out your hand. Taking a deep breath in and sighing out. Perhaps rubbing hands together, squeezing fingers, rubbing arms, giving yourself a gentle hug, embrace, rubbing your shoulders, moving into feet and toes, stretching out, feeling the deliciousness of a good stretch. Thank you for joining me. I actually just started reading this book that I got from my other Pause Pilates um, evening that Lou hosted. Karen Lane, who reviews books, came, and this was one of the books she bought, and it's called Daily Glimmers, The Art of Finding Tiny Joys Every Day of the Year. And it's like our gratitudes, but it's about she expresses it, instead of the gratitudes are reflections of something that's past, the daily glimmers is trying to catch the daily glimmers, even the sort of the light shining on water that might show a little rainbow, um, that deliciousness of pulling up your blankets and duvets, that little bit more when you've got a little bit of extra time before you have to get up. The the almost universal lifting of spirits and eyes to meet other people's faces when the and of eyes to meet other people's faces when the weather improves. Um, Driving in a heated car on a rainy day, bare feet stepping out onto dewy grass. Um, there's lots of little glimmers that she encourages, a spider web caught in a shaft of sunlight, noticing the first new growth of the year. And there's lots of lovely glimmers she encourages us to look for, and it just feels so aligned to this poem today. So thank you for joining. It's lovely to have you as always. If you enjoyed it, please also comment or share so that we can encourage others to also join us for these mindful moments. Wish you a blessed day. Please feel free to unmute or put anything in the chat. Yeah, our spring shed is now complete or finished, our 10 days, but many of us are continuing with our practices. Jean-Marie on this chat, or she's just actually dropped off. She blew it out the water by doing our little mongoose practice, our little nitric oxide practice 3 times a day for the 10 days. And so she gets herself a lovely deep blue stick, which I'm sending to her. Yeah, thank you for joining. Lovely to see you. I'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Karine. Sending love. Bye, everyone.